So you picked up a new recording interface, got a new microphone. Maybe you're using the mics that you use to play gigs with. You got a new song that you want to get recorded. Or it might be a song idea you're just trying to get flushed out and get the whole process started. Maybe you're not exactly sure where to start. There's no set rules to how you have to do anything when it comes to recording music. Yes, there are definitely some considerations we should all be mindful of to set ourselves up for success on the back end. But the best thing that any of us can do is trust our ears and trust our instincts. In this video, we're going to go through some best practices as it relates to tracking acoustic demos and getting new projects up and running. With that said, let's make our way to the studio. All right, so we're just going to talk through some of the best practices that I find help me get my demos done quickly and help me work efficiently. As I said, there are no rules to how you do this. If you already have a way that seems to work for you, that you think's better for you, follow your own path. But if you're just getting started and you're a little intimidated by this whole process, I hope this video will help you. I would love to invite you guys, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, to hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you get notified when the videos come out, and drop me a comment. Let me know what it is that you're into and where you're at in your musical journey. So the first thing that we need to talk about is, where are you going to store your recordings? If you're just getting started, my guess is you're probably planning on storing them, or you're currently storing them on your computer's hard drive. That is certainly an option that you can use. Some of you may be using cloud-based storage. That's certainly an option as well. Then others of you, especially those of you who have been doing this for a while, I'm guessing that you are using external hard drives, and that's what I use. I recommend to anyone who's not already using an external hard drive, you should probably consider it. What I like to use are these Samsung T7 hard drives. These T7 hard drives are great. It's about the size of a credit card. It's a terabyte of storage. You can get one that's 2 terabytes. These are about a little over $100 a piece. I'll link them in the description below. And they just are super, super fast. It's a solid state drive. When you're recording your music, using a solid state drive for an external hard drive, it's just going to make things move very, very fast. For your backup drive, I use a Glyph disk drive that is, a much bigger drive. Mine is 5 terabytes, and it allows me to have a backup workflow. And I don't want to go really deep diving on how you back up your music. If you're not already using some sort of process to back your music up and back up all your recordings, you probably should do some research on the benefits of doing that, because it's just a matter of time. If you do this long enough, you are absolutely going to find yourself in a situation where your recordings or one of your hard drives becomes corrupt. And if you don't have it backed up to somewhere else, at least you should have it backed up in 3 places, whatever you're recording on, and then 2 backups of that. But if you don't at least have it backed up to 1 drive outside of whatever you're recording to, you're really leaving yourself vulnerable. And like I said, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you are going to lose your marbles because you have lost your recordings because your drive has become corrupt. I recommend the Samsung drives, but there are some great drives out there. You guys use whichever ones work best for you. I may link a few other options that are great options in the description below as well. You can see that I've created a folder, a master folder for JB Solo 2023. And that is the folder where all of the recordings for this new solo record that I'm working on will be hosted. And then within that, I also have a separate folder for each one of the songs that I've started recording on there. It's pretty basic stuff, but it's the little things like this, the little details that you can do on the front end to really get yourself organized, and so that you're not trying to track down your sessions because they're stored somewhere on your computer, or they're not set in a folder as a collection of things that you're working on. All right, once you have created a folder and wherever you're storing your recordings, it is time to go into your DAW, and it doesn't matter if you're using You could be using GarageBand. You could be using Logic, Pro Tools, Luna, Ableton. It really doesn't matter. Pull up your DAW, and then you need to create however many tracks that you're going to need to however many microphones you're going to use. Once you've got your DAW pulled up and you have a new session that is stored in your folder, wherever you're keeping those, the next thing we need to talk about is tempos. And one of the best things that you can do for yourself before you start this process, I usually start it usually the night before I come in to do a session, is I'll sit down and I pull up my metronome app on my telephone and just start playing with some tempos for the songs and trying to find at least a good starting place of where that song needs to live. Now, I know for a lot of us songwriters out there, and especially if you're new to the whole recording process, playing and singing along with the click track can be very, very intimidating. And your instinct is going to be to just mute that click and just play through and convince yourself that you're good enough, that your time's good enough where it's not going to matter. And I'm going to encourage you guys to fight that urge, because you are going to want to put the time in and put the work in to make sure that your song is laid down to a click track. And why that's important? Well, it's a good practice, first off, and I think all of us are going to benefit greatly from any amount of time we spend playing along to a metronome. But it's really going to be the difference in working efficiently and working fast and getting things done as it relates to building out your songs, because you might want to collaborate with someone. You might want to add drums to this demo. You might want someone to play guitar to this demo. You might want to send this off to have somebody mix things and add things. And if you are just winging it and you're not playing along to a click track, the odds that you are playing in time are very, very low. It's just going to set you up for success. I know it can feel very rigid, and for me, sometimes it feels awful to play to a click. But at the end of the day, once you start lining things up and really trying to get a recording close to the finish line, you're going to be really glad that you put the time in and got that click set. If you find yourself struggling to play along to the click and that whole nick, knock, 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 nick, knock, knock, knock is driving you crazy and you're having a hard time really locking in with that, one thing that you can do, and which I do often, I always try to start playing to the click initially, but if I'm really challenged with getting the part, depending on what type of song I'm playing, I will go pull up, I use Easy Drummer, and there are a lot of different drum loop options out there. If you're using GarageBand or Logic, I believe they already have drum software built in there. And I would just find a real basic drum groove that exists somewhere in the world of what you're hearing for your song that's going to make it easier for you to play to. Once you put it in your DAW, especially with Pro Tools, it's going to lock it into whatever tempo you have set for that session. So it's going to make it really easy for you. Another thing to consider with your song and tempo, I've run into this so many times with recording music, that you have this tempo in your head, how you play it live. You go out, play gigs, and you play your songs, especially if they're older songs that you're trying to get recorded. It's very easy to get married to a tempo that seems like this is the tempo of the song. But once you start the recording process, oftentimes you're going to discover that changing the tempo, maybe increasing it or slowing it down, is going to really find the pocket that song best lives in. And ultimately, when we're recording music, we don't want it to necessarily sound like how we play a song live. We want it to capture people's attention. We want it to exist in a space where it feels like it belongs there. It doesn't feel like it's pushing. It doesn't feel like it's dragging, but that it is creating a sonic landscape and drawing the listener in so that they want to hear the story that you're trying to tell. And if it's pushing too much or if it's dragging too much, you're not going to get what you want out of it. So that's one of the great reasons for why you should absolutely play with different tempos, find a good starting place, and then, bump it up a BPM, drop it a BPM, and just see how it feels until you find that space that it really feels like it lives in. All right, so once you've got your tempo established, the next thing you're going to want to do is start setting up mics and getting levels. And this can be very overwhelming if you are brand new to this. Just go slow, be patient, and just realize that you're going to figure this out. You're going to make mistakes, but at the end of it, those mistakes are going to lead you to finding your best process. So the more patient and steadfast you can be with your workflow and not getting frustrated, it's going to serve you very, very well. There is no right way. Just remember that. Trust your ear, trust your instincts. The one thing that I want to point out here that you want to be very, very mindful of is the gain staging that you're doing in your recording. I always try to keep my levels between -10 and -12 dB in the DAW. Again, I'm using Pro Tools. The reason that you want to do this is the last thing that you want are your recordings clipping, or you're getting clipping noises in your recordings. But also, once you get this recording done, you're going to get into the mix phase, and you're going to want to leave yourself some headroom to be able to mix with and let those recordings sort of blossom like a flower in that DAW. And if you have already allocated all of that dB range on your front end recording, yes, you can go back in and adjust your clip gain on all the tracks, but again, that's just creating more work for you. So if you can address this on the front end and get in a good habit, especially if this is the beginning for you, get in a good habit of always having those levels set between -10 and -12 dB, it's going to serve you well. So now that you've got a solid demo of your song recorded to a click track, it's really going to open you up musically to a lot of options. You can share that demo with your bandmates so they can start thinking about what their parts are going to be, and they can start playing along to that demo, which is going to be dead in time. It's going to make it just that much easier for them to record their parts when you bring them in to do it. It's going to allow you to send that demo off to other collaborators. If you're going to have someone else play drums on it, if you're sending these sessions, to somebody in Nashville from wherever you are, or wherever this person might be that you're collaborating with, by having it laid down to a click, it's going to make their job that much easier, and they're going to have a much better attitude about working with you, present and future. That's going to be our video today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, I want to invite you to hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications on so that you get notified when the videos come out, and hit the like button if you like the video. I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me a comment. Let me know where you're at in your journey, what kind of music that you're into, what are you recording, what are you using to record, and let me know what you thought about the video. I'm Justin Brogdon. Until next time, you guys keep being great to each other, keep doubling down, and we'll be seeing you soon. Peace.